there's so much photogrammetry happening is just because, like any new technology, when it starts off, it's expensive and it's not very good, and as time goes on, it gets more and more affordable. And now everyone has a great digital camera, which was revolutionary technology, 50 years ago. And then the availability of software as well plays a role in the explosion of photogrammetry. All right, so I wanted to talk a little about the scales of photogrammetry, like what kinds of objects can you use photogrammetry with. So small objects, artifacts, pieces of pottery, stone tools, sculpture, that kind of thing you can all use to take images, and you can get a sense of a three-dimensional object. So you'll see lots of illustrations that look like this in my presentation, because what it's illustrating these are all the different photographs of this object and their relative position to one another, and kind of showing you what the object looks like from that perspective. And then it's a way to kind of visualize all the different photographs that are used to document the statue, in this case the statue in the middle. So this is something it's easy to do a not good job at. It's much more difficult to do a good job. If you see professionals doing this kind of work, oftentimes what they might have is they might have a camera on a tripod and then a table that rotates, a rotating table, so that the camera stays stationary, and you take a photograph of the object, and then you can rotate the object, and then take another photograph, and then rotate the object again. Another way, of course, is that if it's something that's stationary, you can't move, you have to move around and take photographs of the object. But it's good for smaller objects. And we'll definitely get an opportunity to use, we'll literally, maybe we'll pick something either inside or outside that we want to just use as a test to try it out. And so you'll all have an opportunity to take photographs of something just to get a sense of how it actually works. So smaller objects, you can use this kind of...
Sorry, Greg, just 1 second, please go back.
Yeah.
ये सब कुछ समझ में आ गया ना कि क्या हो रहा है, फोटोग्राफी 3D कैसे होता है?
जी।
सारे इमेजेस 360 सारे इमेजेस इतने सारे तस्वीरें जितने नजर आ रहे हैं ना, ये सब एक तस्वीर है. तो आई जस्ट वांट टू मेक श्योर कि ये बिकॉज़ ये कंसेप्चुअली बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है आपको समझने में कि फोटोग्राफी हो कैसे रहा है, बिकॉज़ 3D होता है ना, तो इट्स ऑल अराउंड, ऊपर नीचे साइड में, एंड देन उसको सब मिलाकर मैश बना के फिर वो 3D बनता है.
And one thing more I want to ask, while taking photographs of any object, we should keep the same distance, I mean from the object, from all around.
Yes, yeah.
If we are changing our position, so it might disturb.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about like strategies of taking. So you want to you try to stay the same distance from the object, and then also different light will affect if you're outside, if there's shade on it, things like that, and the amount of overlap you have from photo to photo. And we'll talk more about that. But yes, and like anything, it just takes practice, and you learn from your mistakes. Like I have thousands of times where you think, oh, I've got enough photos of this object, and then you go back to your computer and it doesn't look right because there's gaps. You didn't take enough photos. Or the other problem that might happen is that you take too many photographs. You're wasting your time taking hundreds and hundreds of photographs of this. And it turns out you didn't need that many, so we call that overkill. When you're not spending, you're just wasting time taking too many photographs. So there's always a balance, right? There's always a balance. There's only so much time in the field if you're trying to take photographs of something in the field. Then I usually, if I know that I'm not going to come back to the site, or it's going to be difficult to come back, then you want to err on the side of caution and take more photographs than you need. If it's an easily accessible object, then you can take the photographs that you think are enough, because if you have to come back and take more, it's not a problem. So you have to kind of learn the balance of how many is good enough for what you want to do. And I think, I'll probably talk about this at some point, but ultimately, you might be wondering, well, how many photographs are required? And there's not an easy answer for that, because it really, ultimately, it depends on how high of a quality 3D image do you want. If you want a really high resolution so that you can see every little speck in this sculpture, you might need to take more photographs. If you're just looking for, an okay 3D model, then, it's going to require less photographs, because ultimately, photogrammetry is one of those things that there's no rules about this is what you need to do. It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish, and that'll be a theme of this workshop.
Can I just jump in just quickly?
Of course, yeah.
So, Mohammed, your question about the same distance. In Polycam, all the new material, you don't need the same distance.
In Polycam.
Not just Polycam, and a lot of the other ones also. Because what you do is you can move the camera close and far based on where you need the detail, right? Because if you keep it at one place, then you don't get all the detail.
Yeah.
Right? So actually now they have software that allows you to move close by. So it is, I think it used to be up to 3 years ago, it was important to keep it at the same distance, but not anymore.
Okay.
Now you can get close and far and close and far, because you need the most number of overlapping images to get the best detail.
Right.
The overlapping images is what's important.
Madam, isn't there any what we say that should detect the distance automatically?
It will detect the distance automatically. वो खुद ही कर लेता है. अब वो the program खुद कर लेता है और उसको adjust कर लेता है. सही है ना?
Yes, yes, sir.
Because हम दोनों साथ ही काम करते हैं. मोहनजोदारो के म्यूजियम में we did some 3D images of the artifacts, and because we wanted to get the rim on the inside, तो थोड़ा सा हाथ भी अंदर डालना पड़ा. तो जाहिर है अगर एक ही जगह distance पे होगा तो हाथ अंदर कैसे डालेंगे कैमरा के साथ? Right? So now I think they're adjusting it. हर साल नया वो आ रहा है technology, so you can actually make it work.
Sensor के साथ I think it
जी.
works with the sensor.
With the sensor.
Like the detection of the face, it works according.
That's right. So I just wanted to make sure that, because what's the key idea here is the overlapping.
Yeah.
Okay, the images have to be overlapping. वो जो पहले दिखा रहे थे ना geometry, तो वो उस ज़माने में सिर्फ दो उसके बता रहे थे. वो बिल्डिंग के सिर्फ 2 वो आएंगे. अब sorry पीछे में बात कर रही हूँ. But अब ये है कि it's not just about 2 images. लाखों से ज़्यादा images हो जाती हैं एक surface के लिए. And the overlapping nature of the images उससे 3D वो आता है image. The accuracy of the 3D image. And then you can measure it, like as you were saying, like you can measure it in Polycam. You can take the image, you can measure it, you can do all sorts of things with it. We get all that information. Sorry, I just want to make sure that they get the key information.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to use that to try it with a LiDAR and
Yeah,
Polycam,
for
because
sure.
I've never.
And we have a tripod too, so we'll bring that later on too.
Great. Yeah.
Can I say something extra?
Yeah.
If there is some part of the object, it's still transparent, not fully opaque or not fully transparent, how does the image show?
Like if it's just transparent. Yes, there are some, because I know that I've tried, if you're doing work on like a building and you encounter a window, at least I know in Metashape that can cause problems, because Metashape will get confused. If a program can get confused, it'll get confused because it sees a reflection and it doesn't know that it's a window there. And so, I don't know if there's other programs that do better with transparent materials.
Polycam is not doing a good job with Windows, but not sure.
Yeah,
Polycam is it good with Windows?
No.
yeah. But something tells me like the LiDAR would be able to, it would bounce off that, if it's glass, it would
We can try it.
pick that up,
I
yeah.
mean, like Mohenjo-daro, we don't really have glass.
Yeah.
So we haven't that experience.
Right.
But I think it's interesting, especially if you think of medieval buildings or colonial buildings, and if you're doing a historic preservation work, they all have glass windows, they have stained glass windows, they have opaque windows.
Yeah,
So how do we deal with that? I'll look it up.
yeah.
One thing more.
Yeah, sure.
इनका सवाल का पहले craft.
Okay.
जोर से बोलिए ताकि सबको आवाज आए.
अभी जो हम ये फोटोज जो ले रहे थे पॉलीकैम के लिए, तो उसमें आपने ये बताया कि हमें एक स्टेशनरी पोजीशन जो है वो मेंटेन करना लाजमी नहीं है।
That's correct.
क्या उस फोटोज जो ले रहे हैं उसमें ये लाजमी है कि लाइडार हो या ना हो? क्योंकि फोटोज में था जो डिस्टेंस की एक्यूरेसी मैयर कर रहा था वो तो ये लाइडार सेंसर ही कर
हाँ,
रहा था।
तो ये
क्या
LiDAR
हम डिजिटल जो DSLR से ले रहे हैं फोटोज तो वो भी एप्लीकेबल है उससे?
नहीं। LiDAR कर देंगे. That's why you have to use the app, the Polycam, you know? Yeah, meta shape. So the question was that if it's a DSLR, like if it's just just a regular digital camera, and you don't have the LiDAR sensor, do you then need to have the same distance to the object? Or is it only because it's the LiDAR sensor that we can now move around?
Right, and change the distance.
Then you can change the
Yeah.
distance. What do you think?
I think that's probably the case. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think LiDAR is more like 3D scanning.
That's right.
Really, and yeah, I think with this, I think
You still have to move the
I think
tripod
I mean
around.
you can vary the distance, but I think it makes it easier for the software to recognize
Right.
the object if it's kind of more of a same distance. I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly. You don't have to like measure out how far away you are from the object, but
But that's probably why we have the rotating table and tripod.
right,
to
yeah,
keep it- keep
yeah.
it the same. So that's actually a very important point, because that way, now everyone knows that unless you have the app that has LiDAR sensor, you do need to kind of keep the distance with the camera. You're just using it to shoot.
Yeah.
This about
Okay, as an archaeologist, we are always dealing with the missing objects. Sometimes we are excavating object and we found, not complete. Very rarely we are found incomplete objects. So, is there any option in photogrammetry, different software, to fill the gap of any object?
Right, yeah. Like, so if you find a piece of pottery,
Yeah.
can you create the pot from
Yeah.
just like if you have like one rim? There's probably a way that you can do that. Maybe in a different software, but yeah, taking a piece and kind of projecting what the entire pot might have looked like, or like a broken stone tool, same sort of thing. I've never done that myself, but I think that would be something that, yeah, someone that knows more about that than I do would probably say, oh yeah, that's easy. You can do this and this program works well.
So it's a similar question to the question about if we can take a rim shirt and make the rest of the pot, right?
Yeah,
It's the same-
or,
it's the same
or
idea.
create a profile,
Create a
right?
profile.
Yeah.
So I found a few articles, I'll upload them up so you all can read on, as you're asking questions, I'm writing them down.
Yeah.
And uske mein articles I will upload them, so that you can read them.
Yeah, yeah.
Because even if we don't know the answers, someone knows the answers.
Someone-
so you can
yeah.
get that article and you can read the article.
Someone's written a book about
Someone's
it.
written a book about it.
So there's, let's see,